Well, one down, 161 to go. How you feeling? Fear not. Don't panic. We got you covered. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. It's the new dance that's an old dance for the Texas Rangers. It seems like there are always these sort of things happening in the bullpen for the Rangers, and most times they work out just fine. So one game is no reason to freak or to panic. The bullpen didn't get it done, but there are, as we mentioned, 161 of these things left, and the Rangers will be diligent to make sure it's better. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Me, John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. We got the Prophet over here, and we've got you. I see Gallagher Champ Rarity's already in there chatting. We like it. Keep those chats coming. Like us, subscribe to us, hang out with us. It is day 2 of the marathon that is a baseball season, Jeff. And when we say it's a marathon, not a sprint, like, you know, well, if it was a sprint, what would a sprint be? Maybe 40 games, right? Under any circ, this would just be lining up in the starting blocks, right? This one game, so no reason to be concerned.
No, there isn't. I mean, a lot went right yesterday, and the offense didn't score but 2 runs, but they're facing a Cy Young candidate,
right?
And then they got into the teeth of the Red Sox bullpen. But there were still some good things that happened within the lineup, and then the starting rotation. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi, really, really good.
He was as good. He was as good as Garrett Crochet.
He was better. Frankly, he was better. He went an inning further,
and he didn't walk anybody. Yeah, more strikeouts.
And solo home runs don't get you beat. Even though it was a terrible pitch. And then Chris Martin was great, and really the bullpen did its job until Luke Jackson came in. And Luke Jackson even got the first out of the ninth, and got the leadoff hitter. So a lot went right, and I thought Bruce Bochy said it pretty well yesterday. This is the way we want it set up, and if this happens again, I'm gonna take it every time.
Yes.
I like our chances when this happens. So
yeah,
and again, opening day, it's magnified. All the TVs are there. All the networks are there, and the press box is full, and people are happy and all this stuff, but there's a tension on the game itself. This isn't football.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that I always try to remind Rangers fans. This isn't the Cowboys getting beat, on a last-second field goal on the first day of the season, and then panic setting in.
Right.
Got a long way to go, and things will be better for this team.
And in fact, the equivalent of this being the Cowboys losing that first game on that last-second field goal would be as if this happened 10 times in a row.
Right.
Basically, the MLB season is 10 times longer than a football season. So don't worry. If they do this 10 times in a row, it won't happen, first of all. Second of all, if they did, okay, then maybe you can panic, as you would after just one game of the Cowboys season. But you wouldn't panic that much even then. Like Jeff said, they were in position to win. They did everything they needed to do to win, and then they just didn't. I will say this, Jeff, and I agree with you about the bullpen overall, the bad pitch from Luke Jackson and the way that played out. It gnawed at me a little bit more over the course of the night, those 2 walks, and I'm sure it did him too, those 2 walks, those back-to-back walks by Robert Garcia. I mean, you can't, and they didn't end up hurting them, thanks to Chris Martin. But man, you just can't give free passes at that point in the game.
Well, I mean, exactly, and it means that somebody else is going to bat.
That's right.
And it's what got Ibar or Abreu to the plate.
That's right.
And there's so many things that happen in the course of a game. Okay, the 2 walks didn't score, they got out of the inning scoreless, but it set the Red Sox up pretty nicely there for the 8th and 9th inning.
Yeah.
And the big one though is still the play. The play that Josh Young didn't make.
Yeah.
Went down as a hit. There's no way it was a hit. It was an error. But if that's the second out, and Abar is coming or Abreu is coming up, he's going to first base. The Rangers are not pitching to him.
Right.
They're just not going to pitch to him. And so it's 2 outs, runners at the corners, and Luke Jackson has a chance to get out of that thing without any runs scoring. So that was a huge play, and it I don't think it got nearly enough attention. Bruce Bochy mentioned it. He's not going to drag any of his players under the bus, and Luke Jackson said afterward that Josh Young is going to make that play 9 out of 10 times, and he's probably right. But it was a heck of a time for that one to show up.
It was, and I guess because the offseason narrative was what it was, and legitimately so. Look, we sat on this show every day during the offseason, or at least 5 days a week, saying, man, we really would like to see them get a closer. Oh, we'd like to see them get Kirby Yates. Oh, we'd like to see them get a closer. And they never did. So, but because that narrative was so strong throughout the course of the offseason, the focus then became only on the bullpen. And I'm not suggesting that the bullpen in this case didn't let the team down, but there were other places where it was let down as well.
Yeah, I've said many times on this show and for the last several years, even back to when John Daniels was in charge, the Rangers just don't believe in investing in the bullpen.
Right.
And so then at the end of the year, you look at them and go, man, what if we'd had a good bullpen? It's like, come on, these are guys who are going to pitch 3 times a week, maybe 4, and maybe 4 out of 5 games. It's crazy that a team would have this great lineup, this great rotation, and then be like, oh well, we'll address that as it unfolds, and signing guys for $1 million or $1.25 million or $2 million, trying to find a rebound candidate, a bargain basement guy. Don't do that.
Right.
Or don't do it throughout the entire bullpen. Get a guy. Get somebody who's going to give confidence to the other relievers.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you hate to ever bring up anything successful that this group did, but Hader against Soto to end that game.
Yeah.
I mean, that has any pitcher, Juan Soto, so motivated, right? Coming up there. And Hader won that battle. And and that's drama, first of all. And that's why you pay that. Well, I think he gets paid $19 million too. So he gets more than the Rangers probably have ever spent combined on their bullpen. So, but that said,
I guarantee it's more than the combined salary of the relievers this year.
This year, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. So, but that said, the other side of that coin, Jeff, is that all those years with John Daniels, it seemed like they most often cobbled it together, right?
Sure.
I mean, get Sam Dyson at the deadline.
That was in 11. Yeah.
Yeah, they got Dyson at the deadline. They get Jake Diekman in as a throw-in, in the
Cliff Lee deal.
In the camp.
Cole in 15. Sorry, in 15. What did I say? 12.
Yeah,
it was in 15.
I was going to say. I thought they were the same year.
Yeah,
But anyway, so all these kinds of things that just like, oh, it's not looking that great, and then they do it, and then for a short time.
Yeah,
that was lights out. That was nails.
Well, 15, the closer was Sean Tolleson, our buddy.
Yep.
And it didn't work out in 16, so Sam Dyson comes in and is terrific. And then it didn't work out in 17, and so they just went on down the line. And
yeah,
it's an affordable way to do that.
Sure.
And there are teams that believe that, but my gosh, find a closer. And maybe Mark Church is the guy eventually, or maybe it's Skylar Hales or Teodo, who the Rangers are going to kind of keep it like 3 innings. I just think that there's a future closer in the organization, but that doesn't mean that you can't spend on setup guys,
Right.
or guys to help if he messes up or has a bad stretch. Rangers Nation 12 asks, Milner was sitting there waiting. Why not go to the matchup? Milner did not have a great spring.
He didn't.
All right, lefties hit him. Everybody hit him. Now, he pitched in a simulated game on Monday against some left-handed hitters. All minor leaguers set him down pretty easily. But I just think that the Rangers believe Jackson was a better option just based on the evidence at hand. Now maybe down the line, Milner does get that opportunity, but right now I don't think they think he's in a position to do that.
Right now I don't think he does, Jeff. I introduced myself to him in the clubhouse yesterday, having not met him. Nice kid, great guy, and I root for him. But I was just like, so how you feeling after that? He goes, well, I just didn't have a good spring. I just can't figure it out. I'm working on things. And, it's like, how much is Mike Maddox helping you? Yeah, he's trying to tell me, throw stuff I'm not used to throwing. But there wasn't this confidence that you normally feel from a guy who you would put in that situation. And God knows if in my introductory conversation with him, I felt that, Jeff. Yeah. How do you think Maddox and Bochy and everybody else feels when they talk to him? The kid's trying, and he's got it in him.
Yeah,
he's done it before, right?
Yeah,
and he's going to be fine. But confidence, man, that is a huge factor that they have to consider, right? I mean, again, it's why Feliz didn't go back in at 11, right?
Yeah, 100%.
He was,
essentially, not literally, but sitting there in his own urine.
Yes,
he was distraught. Yeah,
he was destroyed. So. That's where that whole thing. But it's a good question, right? You're trying to look at it and think like a manager would think, but what you don't always know is sort of the personalities and some of the behind the scenes stuff that's going on. And at another point in this season, once Holby Milner's confidence is back and once his stuff is back where he wants it, that might well be a choice that Bruce Bochy would.
Yeah, well, there was a situation that I thought, after Chris Martin got the out in the 7th. To end the 7th, he came back out and was going to face a couple left-handers. And, he's a great pitcher and did just fine with them. But I thought, man, maybe this is where Jacob Webb debuts.
Yes.
Jacob Webb's changeup. Last year, I believe lefties hit 146 against him.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know he's right-handed and all that, but that was part of the reason they got him was to combat left-handers. So he was up and down this spring, and they are kind of stretching him out as a long guy. So maybe that's why they didn't go to him. But and they also have a game the next day. So
yeah.
So who's up? Who's going to be ready? Do you want to go back to back this early in the season? So anyway, it's I don't know. It's one, like I said, it's one game, and you can dissect it and all that stuff. But if it becomes a trend, then the Rangers are going to do something about it.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just one game,
right?
And it didn't work out, but they still believe in their guys.
Yeah, and it'll happen. Again, it wouldn't take that 10-game stretch that I facetiously proposed, right? To have it happen 10 times, it wouldn't take that long for a complete reshuffle of the pieces that are there and figuring out where better to use them or best to use them. And the reality is, though, Bruce Bochy in the now third year that we've had to deal with him, to deal with him, Jeff, on a daily basis.
Oh, we got to deal with this guy.
Yeah. He does not. Some of the times the managers over the years, I don't want to name names, but they'll say stuff and it's not true, or at least they don't really believe it.
Yeah.
But when Boch comes out there and says, man, I'll tell you what, if this thing is set up like this every game this season, we're going to win most of them, right? He's not placating. He's not just sort of sending this psychological message to the team.
Yeah.
He believes it.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you believe a guy that's won 4 World Series?
Right.
And so, again, one game, don't worry about it. If it becomes 3, I think 3 is probably the number. I think that was where with Leclerc, it seemed like 3 these last couple of years, and it was like, all right, we got to try something different.
Well, 3 strikes and you're out.
There you go.
It's baseball after
Perfect.
All right, lots more baseball talk. Let's talk about tonight's starting matchup. Let's talk about some of the other festivities from opening day yesterday and some of the fun that was out there and available and getting this season off and running. It's all coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. But as spring training has ended, it doesn't mean that your opportunity to see the future, be the future, right? You can, I know you got it.
You make your future, Danny.
That's right. See the future, Danny. Be. It's kind of hard to be the future with you talking like that, sir. But anyway.
I'm not talking.
Waymo. Yeah, I'm not talking now. No. Waymo, that's so over the head of so many people out there. Right. Waymo is, sometimes you tell a joke for one guy. Waymo is the future. And it is autonomous driving cars. You will find that they are not as expensive as the cars that you call to pick you up and take you there that have a driver. And there are other bells and whistles and problems that go with those drivers. So they're safe, they're easy, they're affordable, they're the future. Be a part of the future. Be your future with Waymo.
So what you're saying is that joke went right in the old lumber yard.
It went right.
Yeah, John and I are having a great time, guys. I don't know about you guys. Anyway, if you want to have a good time and a better life, feel better, go ahead and listen to our friends from Timeline. Timeline, what they do, the cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life, and Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells to help give you more energy, feel stronger during workouts. Could have used some today. And preserve health and mobility as you start to age. And we're all aging. The patented ingredient is MitoPure, a postbiotic nutrient that clears our dysfunctional mitochondria, a.k.a. the cell's battery packs. So right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/DLLS to get started. That's timeline.com/DLLS.
Yep, we encourage you to support each and every one of our supporters, our advertisers. We appreciate them. We appreciated so much about yesterday's game, and really not just the game, Jeff, but the surroundings, the pomp, the circumstance, the joy, and one of the things I love about opening day. Look over there's Michael Young. Oh, look over there's Ian Kinsler.
Yeah,
I mean, guys all over, former players all over the place. It's just a really fun environment, and it was great, especially for you, I think, Jeff, because before the game, when everybody was out tailgating, man, the weather was absolutely beautiful, and they had the roof open for batting practice and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, much to your delight, once it was game time, it was like, oh man, there might be some rain moving in. Let us shut the roof.
Yeah, it started raining when I walked out after our post-game show.
Okay.
So rain was in the area. It just didn't happen during the game. But, from where we sit in the press box, there's a giant flag. If you look out the windows in left field, and I don't know if it's with a car dealership or maybe it's the Medal of Honor Museum.
Yeah.
But it kept getting stiffer and stiffer. So, there are a lot of elements that go into this roof thing. Dew point and wind velocity and, of course, the chances of precipitation. It didn't affect the game. And it's going to be close tonight because it's 69. And I think we're going to not even get to 70 today. Probably be a little bit windy. Might have some rain in the area. They've already made the call. But yeah, it was a nice day. And I'll admit I was not perturbed by the roof being open. But you could kind of sense it was just the clouds were building. And you just like, is this going to last? So anyway, it didn't, and I won the day because the roof was closed.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, we differ on this big time because every day that it's okay, I'd even take it at 69. But every day that it's 70 and above, man, I think we get that roof open and keep it open and play the game under the stars, or if it's a day game, under the beauty of sunlight and the blue sky in Texas, because there aren't enough of those through the summer, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
You only end up with 14 or 15 games max.
Yeah, well, and I'll admit that my disdain for the open roof is greatly motivated by my work environment. Where the press box is not enclosed as part of the stadium, and that's fine. But when the roof is open and the wind starts blowing and your screen starts shaking, or if the sun's bright and you can't see the screen, and if you get cold, and everybody knows I don't like to be cold, bugs, crap, all kinds of stuff. All right, I'm there to work, and so I want a sterile work environment, but also, if you have the roof, make people as comfortable as possible. Like I said way back in the spring training, you give everybody, or off season, you can give every Ranger fan $1 million and someone will complain. It could be the perfect day and somebody's going to be cold, somebody's going to get sunburned, somebody's going to get hot, whatever it is. Just close the thing. You've got the roof. Give Arlington taxpayers their money's worth.
Okay.
They help pay for it. Close the damn thing.
There we go. All right.
Thank you.
That's it's a very, very cold sports opinion by Jeff. And I say that literally.
Yeah.
It's motivated by the fact that he's cold a lot.
Right. Yeah.
Can't even imagine what this young man was like growing up in Colorado.
I was tougher. That's
Cold.
for sure.
Yeah. Your blood does thin out. That's for sure. All right. So let's look at the big picture of this thing and analyze a little bit more, Jeff, why Bruce Bochy, was, obviously nobody smiled at the result, but Bruce Bochy in the postgame was somewhat happy. Like, dang, the plan worked.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't quite work.
Right.
But up to the point that it didn't, the plan was working great.
Yeah. And a manager, manager can line everything up, but the guys have got to go out and perform. And it didn't happen. And really the 3-2 pitch to Story that resulted in the walk was a close pitch. Story dropped his bat and headed down. Maybe he sold it and helped convince the umpire, but it was a pretty close pitch. It was a good pitch. But again, Luke is really good against right-handers, so he needed to not be farting around there. But the defense that had been so good really from the first pitch on, that play that Young didn't make, that was pretty costly. But you're right. The formula worked, and the Rangers know they're going to score more runs. So, it would have helped if there had been a little cushion for Jackson. Now, obviously, it's hard to give a guy a 3-run cushion, but you know what I mean. It maybe takes a little pressure off. I don't know. But so the offense, the Rangers think they're going to score more. If the starter can give them enough length to get to where they can set it up the way they want it, like Boch said, they're going to take that every day of the week. Every game, if they can set it up the way that they have in mind, they're going to take it and be happy with it and roll the dice. And hey, they got, I don't know, craps or snake eyes, or I don't know what it is,
right?
But it didn't work. I'm trying to find a gambling
reference,
dice reference there. It just didn't work out. But yeah, you're right. He wasn't like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to us. He understood it, and it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So then the other narrative that I've seen developed rightly on the social media channels especially has been, well, I thought this whole thing was built to be a better slugging team, right? To be a better fastball hitting team. And, how do you only score 2 runs in that situation? Well, Garrett Crochet is a big part of the reason why.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy, and of course you're going to face their ace on opening day. It's why I was saying yesterday during pregame show, hits are going to be kind of hard to come by for both teams. And they were 13 hits total. Rangers out hit them 7-6. But again, other than, obviously Abreu turned around on a couple.
Yeah.
But other than that, there were a lot of excuse me singles and stuff.
Yeah. And it's not just that, hits are going to be hard to come by. The slugs are going to be hard to come by. And so Tanner Houck is pitching tonight for the Red Sox. He had a sneaky good year last year.
He did.
He was pretty good, but a right-hander, you think the Rangers would have a pretty good shot against them based on what upgrades they made, and Corey Seager not having the uncomfortable at bat. But and it's not just in a close game, you're going to get their best relief arms too. So Garrett Whitlock comes in, he's throwing 97.
Yeah,
there's not much of a break there. Then Aroldis Chapman, that's not a comfortable at bat for anybody. And then Justin Slayton, the old Rangers draft pick in 2019, comes in and is, throwing a pretty mean cutter and then backing it up with 97-mile-per-hour fastball. So, it's hard. It's hard. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports.
Yeah.
So, hey, and again, it's just one day, and it's not like a positive spin or anything like that. It's just kind of,
it's reality.
You've been around it,
Yeah.
and I tell people a lot that baseball, the way that these players react to adversity, they lose a lot. I mean, in the best case, they're going to lose a third of the time. They are losers 1/3 of the time. Best case. Last year, the Rangers lost more than 50% of the time.
Yeah.
But they kept showing up. They know that they can't let a loss hang over them because they don't have, they got to be sharp the next day. So, and that's the best thing about it is you get a chance to redeem yourself the very next day.
Yeah.
But you got to show up with the right frame of mind. So you can't just be beaten down by this loss. Luke Jackson after the game said, "Yeah, I terrible. I wish it hadn't happened, but I'm ready to go tomorrow."
Sure. And again, he acknowledged in his post-game comments as well. He said, "Gosh, all spring training, I felt great. Everything, results were great, and now I don't have a good day. And he admitted it. I mean, I don't have a good day, and it's opening day.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that sometimes you don't have complete control over. Right? You're trying, right? Any golfers out there would know, like, man, last week I was here and the same guy and I was stroking the ball right down the middle of the fairway and now I can't get off the tee, whatever. Sometimes you just can't sort of get out of your own way. And with regard to that attitude guys have about the winning and losing, they can't get this upset, right?
Yeah.
Over one loss because there's too many games. And I do remember early in my career, and I would fly the Cowboys charter when I first got here. And when the Cowboys would lose a game, man, on the charter, everybody whispered.
Yeah.
Like it was nobody talked, right? Part of that might have been the coach, Jimmy Johnson. But that said, I mean, it was, you could hear a pin drop on that thing. The Rangers, I got onto their charter more like 95, 96. And, they lose. And here comes somebody with a boombox, and they're having, dancing in the back or whatever. Because, again, they got 162 of these things.
Right.
They're not taking them lightly. They just realize we can't live and die by each one of these games.
Yeah, it's no way to live life. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And, you see guys who get into 1 for 17 funks. It's like, all right, well, that's only 4 games.
Yeah.
It's like we got a long way to go. And I mean, how many times will the Rangers lose 6 games this season?
Right.
A lot.
Right.
The year they won the division in 16 when they had the best record in the American League, at one point they lost 12 of 15 games.
Jeez.
It's going to happen. So that's the thing to kind of, I always try to impart on people is these things just happen. So much happens during a season, but a third of the season you're going to be bad. A third you're going to be good is what happens in that middle third.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're shooting for. And I guarantee you that what happened to the Rangers yesterday is going to happen to them. I would say maybe 10 times this year.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe not the 9th inning, but the 8th, where they will end up losing a game because something fell apart late in the bullpen.
Yeah, and I think that Chris Young identified last year, May 10th through June 30th, the team was woefully under 500. And if you take that little section, so that's the third, if you will, Jeff, take that section out, before May 10th, they were over 500. After June 30th, they were over 500. But that little stretch right there in the middle of the season was what did them in.
Well, it's like in 20 and 23. At one point, they were 40 and 20.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the good 60, right?
Yep.
Or the good 54, whatever you want to say. And so then they had to hang on. So they had a probably an equal one
Somewhere,
that was pretty bad and one that was just good enough.
Yep.
And that's a baseball season for you.
That's the way baseball go. We got more coming up. We've talked a little bit about Tanner Houck, but we have not mentioned Jack Leiter yet. So coming up, we'll talk about Jack and what we expect from him in tonight's game. And also, let's look back at some of the great moments as baseball has returned, and there was a lot of fun throughout the game yesterday. We talk about it all next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
It's sleeper time.
Yeah.
And of course, you know how much I love sleeper. DLS Rangers gets you up to a $100 first match deposit, which is fantastic. You put in 100, you get 100. It's that simple. The Cowboys show, they had the standings of the sleeper standings that we're having, and my record has been on hold at 2-0, and there's a good reason for that. It's not legal. It's not available in Arizona sleeper, but it's available in Texas. And Jeff Kavanaugh was giving me some crap about it on the air. I heard it, and I've responded by making some picks for tonight. And here's what I did: Jock Peterson will get a hit. Charlie Morton will strike out 3 batters. Marcus Semien will get a hit. Wyatt Langford will get a hit. And Jack Leiter, you don't always have to work positive, will walk more than 1.5 batters. So anyway, I put down, I think, $5. I got a chance to win. I did the flex, so you give up some less odds for less money. Anyway, it's great. I love sleeper. So please download the app, DLLS Rangers, up to $100 match on your first deposit.
Just does make watching sports even more fun when you got a little something like that, and it's not much invested. And what else makes it more fun is representing your team. We saw so much of this yesterday. So many Rangers fans, most of them really, were wearing their gear to the ballpark yesterday for opening day. And I'm certain that many of them went and got their gear at foco.com. That is such a great place to get it. I hate to say this, but there were quite a few people wearing Red Sox stuff yesterday too. And some of those people, no doubt, got their stuff at foco.com. I even bumped into a guy when I was leaving and ran through a convenience store, and he said, "What the heck am I seeing a Yankees fan here for?" I said, "I got no idea." I mean, they don't like the Red Sox, and we don't like them. But anyway, they probably got their stuff at Foco too. You should too. Foco.com. DLLS, 10% off. Okay, Jack Leiter. Good spring. Could almost say great spring, right?
You could.
Accomplished everything that he could have hoped that he would accomplish in spring training, because with a fairly set rotation of veterans before the 2 injuries, it was pretty obvious that Jack Leiter was going to make this team.
It was. I think that he did need the injury solidified his spot on the roster, but I really feel like he would have made it. Just the way he had pitched and what the Rangers bullpen's needs were and still are. You need some multi-inning guys. So he pitched really well. He did have the one outing where he walked 5, but he limited the damage by making some pitches in key spots. He had the start against the watered-down White Sox lineup, which is saying something. Gave up 2 runs to their good part of the lineup, and then made an adjustment and didn't allow anything else the rest of his way. So that shows some maturity. Maybe he figured something out on the mental side, where last year you might have seen him muttering to himself. You didn't see that this year. He carried himself with confidence. He believes in his stuff. It's a 100-mile-per-hour heater. It's a variety of off-speed pitches, including this new changeup that he's in love with. So it's going to be a test tonight, though. I mean, the Red Sox, go back to all the great battles with the Yankees, those long-ass games, because they had disciplined at bats, took pitches, fouled off pitches, kept at bats alive. These Red Sox still do that, all right? And so the pitches that maybe a guy up from AAA playing in the Cactus League game would have swung and missed, maybe a ball off the plate, a Red Sox hitter might take that. So there's going to be it's going to be a little bit different beast for Jack today. But if he stays confident, if he's throwing the ball in the strike zone, his stuff plays, and the Rangers are going to have a chance. A couple guys have asked how long is his leash, or what can the Rangers hope for. I think 5 innings. He still has some long at bats, 6-7 pitch at bats, and a few of those will push the pitch count, or could push the pitch count. So if he gives them 5 solid innings, maybe gives up 2 or 3 runs, they'll take that, especially for his debut, anticipated start, his first time on the opening day roster, a whole bunch of elements. If he can control all of that stuff, the external stuff, and just focus on the home plate and getting the ball over it, then 5 I think would be a wonderful outcome for him.
Sure, and because he was as stretched out as anybody in the Rangers rotation, right? He got as much work or more than any of the other starters. If it's going great, they'd let him go 6, right? I mean, again, then the plan sets up beautifully. But that's part of the tricky part about when you are a manager, like we were talking about, in the last segment, where Bruce Bochy knows how Hobie Milner is feeling, or whatever those other possibilities might be. So they have their finger right on the pulse of this young man, and he can't necessarily, even if he's pitching well, he can't necessarily do as Nathan Eovaldi did yesterday.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, they're still coming out of spring training. They're still not completely built up yet, although I think Jack got into the 80s his last start.
He's pretty close.
But do you want to go that far? Probably not.
Yeah.
And here's another thing, don't let him go out there and pitch great for 5 innings and then give up 8 runs in the 6th.
Right.
You do what's best for him and let him leave the game feeling confident and good about what he did. So there are all kinds of things at play here, but this is an important start for the Rangers, an important start for Jack, because Patrick Corbin's going to be down there. He's actually going to go to Arizona.
Yeah.
Not to Round Rock. He's going to go to Arizona to finish his prep for the season. And anyway, April 11th is the target date for him to be back and in the rotation. So, you figure Jack might get 2 turns through here. If they're not very good, well, the Rangers are going to have to make a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same. The same will apply on Monday when we start talking about Kumar Rocker.
Yeah.
Who's those are the 2 that are sort of in that boat at this point in the season, that Patrick Corbin could well have a chance to unseat one of those guys. And again, if it were the beginning of this season and we were only talking about one injury and Patrick Corbin was here, that probably would mean that Kumar Rocker was at AAA right now. And that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Just as it's not for Evan Carter to be down there. He's going to get regular at-bats. He's going to get what he needs most at AAA.
Yeah, the AAA season starts tonight. Round Rock, I think, plays the Toledo Mud Hens. I think they've started doing the International League, Pacific Coast League, Interleague, if you will. So that's an interesting matchup. Tigers affiliate. And but anyway, you're going to see Evan play a lot. And, keep in mind, we're talking about guys who are not fully developed. Evan Carter has barely 200 at-bats in the major leagues. Kumar Rocker has made 3 big league starts. Evan Carter is still a rookie, still has rookie status despite making his debut and pitching a lot in September last year. So I tell you what, it's that's something else to keep in mind. These guys aren't finished. They have things that are going to happen that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
In an environment they've never pitched in before, and it's going to be eye-opening. But it's going to make them better. Whether they succeed or fail, they're going to be better off for it. They're going to remember it. Mark Church is in the same boat. So, it's crazy. You have these young guys with all this promise who've done stuff in college. In Evan's case, the World Series. You think, oh well, he's here to stay. Well, I thought that too. I really did. But then the back injury happened, and next thing you know, he's not ready. So it takes time. A veteran who misses 6 months or 5 months struggles to get it back, but especially a rookie. So let him go down there, log some at bats. If Jack or Kumar, aren't very good, let them go back to AAA, get comfortable, work on their mechanics, and start dominating again and feeling good about themselves for the next time they're needed, because they are going to be needed.
That's the other place that Jack Leiter has shown growth, again, from being up for a while, basically the last month of the season last year, where we've seen the growth is, as Jeff said, through spring training anyway. We're not seeing the muttering and the stuff on the mound, because again, the other team's reading that just as we are, right?
Right.
And they know, oh man, he's in his head, or we're in his head, or somebody's in his head, right? And so they'll try to take advantage of that. They're looking for any advantage they can find. The other place we see it is sort of just his demeanor in the clubhouse, Jeff. Not only in the interviews, the specific interviews he does with us, but just kind of the way he walks around. I mean, he carries himself. Last year, he just kind of seemed like a fish out of water.
Yeah, he feels like he's acting like he feels like he belongs. That the big league clubhouse is where he's supposed to be. He's comfortable with the guys. Now he's still a rookie and still defers to the veterans on things, as he should. But it struck me from the first day this spring. You know, he looked and felt comfortable. He just, you know, the way he was talking, joking around a little bit more than he did last spring. It just was a different thing, a different vibe we were getting from him. And I thought last year's vibe was better because he had learned so much, I think, from getting shut down. I think that had in 23, you know, at Double-A it wasn't working. They shut him down for more than a month and just worked on his mechanics and all of these things. And after that, it was a more authentic, more genuine way he talked about how he was doing. And then this year it took just another step too. So yeah, that's a lot of good things are a lot of reasons to be optimistic about Jack Leiter. I know some people are like, oh, we got to put him in the bullpen. Oh, he should be a closer, all that stuff. These guys develop at different times. And again, you know, and along that line, he had one full season of college baseball.
Right.
You know, COVID wiped out 2020. So really 2021 was only his only full season in college, and he did very, very well, obviously. You know, he's from the Northeast, so he probably didn't pitch a ton in high school ball. And I know his dad and all that. They probably had him on a program and a private coach and all that stuff from a young age. But still, a lot. He wasn't like this grizzled college veteran. You know, Kamar Rocker had more college experience than Jack Leiter by a good stretch. So all of that comes into play. It really does. You know, and the expectations were unfair and but not unexpected for a second round pick, and he probably had expectations for him too and felt the heat. But now, 4 years after he's been drafted, he's in a good spot. Yeah,
a very good spot, and the Rangers are too, with two starting pitchers that they have, you know, basically developed, and who will be, you know, numbers 2 and 5 in the starting rotation, at least to start the year. You're talking about that confidence too. In speaking with Mark Church yesterday, I think it was our own Abby who asked him about conversations that he's had with Jacob deGrom, right? Young guy, you've got maybe the best pitcher on the planet, you know, right here in your you know, clubhouse. And she said, do you ever have a chance to just pick his brain? He said, I did. He said, a couple weeks ago, we were both in the tub, which is probably the hot or the cold tub.
Hope it's not the bath.
Yeah, not the bathtub.
Yeah.
Hot or cold tub. And he said, and it's just me and deGrom. And he goes, so I thought, why not? I'm going to ask him. So he said, hey, man, what do you think about when you're on the mound? And he said, Jacob just looks at me and goes, throwing the ball right where I want it. We just both laughed. I'm like, yeah, pretty simple thought. But I mean, again, Jacob deGrom wasn't saying that for any other reason other than, well, I guess this is what I think about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I said to Mark, kind of easier said than done, though, isn't it? Right?
Well, but I mean, that's the root of pitching.
Yeah.
If you put it where you want it, you're going to succeed. I mean, how many guys hit 300 last year? 5, 8?
8, I think. 8 total in all of Major League Baseball.
My God, they made out 70% of the time. So Major League hitters were out, the vast majority of them, more than 70% of the time.
Yep.
More than 70% of their at-bats, they made an out. That means if a pitcher makes a good pitch, they have such a huge advantage. And, you know, deGrom is 13 years older than Church, roughly. Church's birthday is Sunday. He's going to turn a whopping 24. Jacob's 36 on his way to 37. So basically, Jacob was in 8th grade when Mark Church was born.
Yeah, there you go.
I think he knows some stuff.
He does indeed. Wise choice to pick his brain whenever you can. Lots coming up now in the cleanup segment. Talk about some things from opening day and have a little fun cleaning this up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. So we do have the Shackett brothers here today.
That's right, baby.
As predicted, Shackett boys are rocking it, both with the DLLS shirts. I've got the baseball one. I think you had said you wore this yesterday under your pullover, or maybe the day before.
It was the day before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, I thought I'm safe wearing it.
Yeah,
because he's not going to wear it this soon, and that way we wouldn't look like Shackett twins.
Bobby and Ben are wearing the same shirt today. It's a little embarrassing.
It's a little embarrassing. I saw that.
Yeah.
The skipper.
This is a Mavs shirt, by the way. This is not a Ranger shirt.
No,
this is a Mavs shirt.
Yeah. Pops. Definitely pops. Get your shirt at store.allcitynetwork.com. Get anything else that they have there. There's lots of merchandise available, shot glasses and beer steins and coffee mugs and those types of things. And you can represent. I've seen several people on social media posting pictures of themselves in their favorite shirts. I had a guy yesterday post a picture in, I think it was the Rangers Die Hard.
Ah, nice.
That's like this. So anyway, we love all this stuff. Store.allcitynetwork.com to get it.
I'm really looking forward to the new shirts coming in.
Yeah, me too.
And now's the perfect time. If you want one of those new shirts, become a diehard because you get a free shirt. And for $79.99, you get access to all of my stories, all the Cowboys, Stars, Mavs stories, 20% off events like our upcoming golf tournament on April the 25th. And then, the free shirt for life. Every year you get a free shirt. So, gosh, what are you waiting for? I know you just missed our sale, but even then, this is such a great deal. You know, and if you want to break it down, if you're like, oh man, $80, all right, we'll break it down a little bit further. That's $6.50 a month.
Yeah.
All right, that's one Starbucks a month.
Right.
Just cut out a Starbucks and you got yourself a diehard membership. And you are smart and informed, and you get to have some fun.
Yeah, you get to wear some cool stuff because you get a shirt every year. All right, so we got a lot to run through here. Some things that happened on opening day that were somewhat historic, including the Baltimore Orioles, Jeff, hit 6 home runs in their game yesterday. 6 home runs on opening day is the most since 1901.
For the Orioles or just any team?
Any team.
Man, they're no way in 01. Yeah, they must have been like inside the Parkers. Must have been before they had fences.
I know.
Something.
That's what I thought. I'm like, that was the dead ball era.
Yeah.
How could they have possibly hit 6 bombs? Maybe it was a small field. I don't know.
Maybe.
But 1901, there's the most home runs on an opening day since 1901. And among those home runs hit were won by Tyler O'Neill.
Oh, yeah.
And he extends his own record. Tyler O'Neill has now hit a home run in 6 straight opening days.
That's fantastic.
Is that unbelievable?
Yeah, the Rangers had a guy, gosh dang, I can't think of it, who had a very, it was David Dahl. Remember David Dahl?
I do.
He maybe it wasn't home runs, but he was like a freak on opening day. And so anyway, some guys just do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
You
know who was a freak on opening day in 2000 was Gabe Kapler.
Oh, yeah.
And he hit 2 or 3? 2.
2 home runs. I remember I had to write the headline.
Yeah.
That was back when I was copy editing for the
2 home runs. And I interviewed him coming off the field, and he was a brand new player. They'd gotten him in the trade, the Juan Gonzalez trade in the offseason.
Yeah.
And so he's a brand new player for the Rangers, and I interview him coming off the field for the broadcast, and I say, wow, I mean, is this like living your wildest dream? He goes, I got pretty big dreams. This doesn't even come close. I'm like,
right.
Okay, well, good for you, man.
Yeah, and then we've since learned that Gabe's just one of these deep thinking guys.
Yeah,
still could be in a bodybuilding competition. I think.
Yeah, I think he could. Yeah, he's amazing, and he's a good guy. I mean, that wasn't. I made it sound like that was mean. It was more thoughtful, than mean or anything like that. But I was surprised. I'm like, dang, those are big dreams.
Yeah.
2 home runs on opening day in your new team. So Anyway, Tyler O'Neill, good for him. He's got to wait a whole year to see if he can extend his streak to 7 in a row. We mentioned McKenzie Gore yesterday. It bears repeating. The dude struck out 13 guys in 6 innings of work.
Crazy.
For the Nationals.
Yeah.
Now, it was against the Phillies. Nationals lost the game in extras.
Well,
Yeah.
McKenzie Gore, you mentioned Juan Soto earlier. He was part of the Padres Nationals trade.
Yeah.
That when the Padres went and got them Juan Soto, McKenzie Gore, the Abrams, their shortstop, were the headliners of that thing. So that's pretty cool. And I think he ended up making the All-Star team last year, if I'm not mistaken. I know C.J. Abrams was there, but I can't remember if Gore was a substitution or not. I just remember talking to Abrams.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it's good. Left-hander, been on the radar for a while. So what an outing. But yeah, and it looks like they might have some bullpen issues.
Clearly. And it is special when you make a huge trade like that to get people, like you can point to the people, as we've done in this, nowhere near as big as the Soto deal, but we've pointed to the guys from the Gallo trade on numerous occasions, and sure. Josh Smith played, maybe had the best play of the year. It's already in the books, right? Yesterday. And Ezekiel Duran, part of that trade. Glenn Otto had made the big club and pitched here. And Hauser?
Trevor Hauver, who was in big league camp for the first time and will be in Round Rock tonight playing for the Express. But you can just on the Nationals alone, they traded Trey Turner and got their catcher Ruiz.
Yep.
He's from that trade, and sure, we can keep going. Believe me, I can keep going.
Yeah, the list is long, and it's fun for a team and a fan base to be able to do that. All right, how about this? We have an undefeated team over there in the American League Central, a very unlikely first place team in the American League Central.
Very exciting.
The Chicago White Sox.
There we go.
The White Sox are 1-0, and they got 6 innings of shutout baseball from rookie Sean Burke on the mound. Benintendi had a home run, and our buddy Will Venable gets his first win as a big league manager.
Sure enough, and they showered him with beer as he strode into the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Hey, get the first one out of the way. I think Chris Woodward, God dang it, did he win his first game?
What year was it? 19? 19?
No, I think he lost. Bannister maybe. I don't remember. Somebody won the very first one. It's a great moment, and hopefully they win more than 41 more or whatever it was last year.
Oh, God, it was awful. It was just awful. And they may be feeling it. That may start a little streak, light a little fire. We'll see. But I saw him bragging, too, with several White Sox fans online and so forth. Hey, got a better record than the Cubs.
There you go.
They started off 0-2. So there you go. They're winning the Battle of Chicago right now. This one, for various reasons from yesterday, touched my heart. Now, you always appreciate, especially if it's your team, the celebration that takes place on opening day the year after you win the World Series. I know BC is going to love this story, but so of course the Dodgers unfurled their banner, and they had all those sort of festivities. But what I loved was Freddie Freeman and Kirk Gibson, the two guys who hit really the most historic home runs in Dodgers history in the World Series. They met yesterday, and Gibby threw out the first pitch, the ceremonial first pitch to Freddie Freeman. And it's Gibby.
Meet Freddie!
Gibby's got Parkinson's. So that's great. Gibby greeting all of Freddie's kids and warming up and throwing the pitch to Freddie Freeman. It's just really a cool moment. Gibson, of course, had that huge home run in the World Series when he had to limp around the bases. He couldn't even start the game. And Freddie was in a similar boat physically, medically, last year in Game 1 and hit the first ever grand slam walk-off in a World
Yeah.
Series.
Then the Gibson homers, that was his only at bat.
Yeah.
The whole series.
Yeah.
Hit it off of Dennis Eckersley, who was untouchable that year.
Yeah.
And, Gibson had the big home run in the '84 series too, off of Goose Gossage.
Off of Goose.
That's pretty cool, and God bless Kurt with all that he's going through on the Parkinson's side. He looked pretty good there. But neat deal. And I don't know if you saw Magic Johnson there was right on the edge of the tunnel, part of the ownership group with the Dodgers.
He's a part owner. And, it's funny, too, when you look at that video, and I am Gibby's just a little bit old, a couple years older than me. And when he first got into Major League Baseball, remember, he was a kid who played both football and baseball at Michigan State. He was a wide receiver, and he could have played football in the NFL. And then I saw him for the first time that I saw him in person in the Tigers clubhouse, and I couldn't believe how big he was. I mean, he just seemed like such a big guy, an imposing figure in every aspect of it. And now part of it is you could tell his knees are kind of, overly bent, I think, with the Parkinson's. But he looks tiny compared to Freddie Freeman.
Right.
Well,
Freddie's a big dude.
That's how big these boys are these days.
That used to be one of a trivia question I would throw on people back in the day. Of course, I was a teenager and loved this question. But the question at the time, and I don't know if it still holds true, it probably doesn't, was who's the all-time Michigan State leader for receiving yards by a tight end? It was Kirk Gibson.
Kirk Gibson, yeah.
And people were like, what? And I was like, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, what a stud. And grew up in Michigan right there and still lives there. He's a special assistant for the Tigers now, and he was a part of the broadcast for years and years. I'm not sure if his health is allowing him.
He's not going to be back this year.
Yeah, I don't think his health is allowing him to be back this year. But now you want to see a guy who looks really fit at this stage of his career. I can't remember, Prophet. Did we get this one loaded in, the Ichiro? Okay, good. So first pitch at the Mariners game, Ichiro.
Fans, please welcome 2025 National Baseball Hall of Famer, number 51, Ichiro Suzuki. Catching the pitch, number 6, Dan Wilson. Wow. Great pitch, Ichiro. And congratulations on your well-deserved
Guy's in
induction.
unbelievable shape, and so some of the highlights from opening day. It was, special.
And they're again, no other sport can replicate opening day. And all right, the Japan series doesn't count. All right,
No.
But like the NFL, they stretch it out. It's like they have the Thursday game and the Friday game and the 2 Friday games.
Yeah.
And then they have 2 on Monday night. It's like, come on, just one day, make it just this great football celebration.
Yeah.
And then, basketball, they don't have, not everybody plays, I don't think.
No.
And not everybody played yesterday in the majors. Like the Rays didn't play.
Yeah.
The Braves didn't play. But, it's just there's nothing else like a opening day. It's kind of the best day of the year. It really is.
It really is. I mean, the excitement level at that ballpark yesterday was through the roof, and there were questions, several of them, about do you feel like last year you were brazen a banner on this day, and every opening day is different, and every opening day is special.
Yeah,
and it was special, and they felt it. I mean, that was the answer that players and even Boch were giving was, you know what? No, this is opening day. Obviously, everybody wishes we were raising a banner, or I guess they dropped the banner as opposed to raised it, but whichever way. Everybody wishes they were doing that. Maybe they'll do it again next year, but for now, it's baseball season, and damn it, we're glad it's back. We're glad it's back. We're back, too, on Sunday with a pregame and a postgame edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. It's here, for Getaway Day. The Rangers are headed to Cincinnati on Monday. So Monday and Tuesday, I think, we'll be here normal sort of noon time. And then Wednesday, it's another Getaway Day. So we'll be here with you for pregame and postgame that day as you get used to our new rotation now that we're in season.
Yes.
Play ball.
Let's do it.
We'll see you tomorrow. See you Sunday, I should say, on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.